All right, everybody, it's 1 o'clock. Let's get this rolling. Don't want to waste anybody's time. So, my name is Chris Abbott. I'm one of the channel managers here at AirSpring, and I am going to teach you all how to become a QuoteSpring master. This is our quoting tool. It's part of our back office portal. So, when you actually log in to agentstar.net, and remember it's .net, not .com, you'll be greeted with this page, and this is a pretty important page for you. It's going to show you all the current promos right here. It's going to show all the spiffs right here at the bottom, and if you click into it, it'll actually give you all the rules based on whether it's a 3-year term, 2-year term. Things change slightly based on that. Right now we're doing one of our webinar trainings. You can see all past trainings right here down the middle. You can also find them in the resources under the training tab. On the right, you'll see some of our other essentials that we provide you. You can find the white paper for our MPLS. You can find previous other resources for like our newsletters that we send out, where we spotlight some of our agents and some of the other internal employees at AirSpring that are important to you guys. But most importantly, you're going to be able to use DAX from this portal, which is our order tracking process, where you can see all the steps going forward on all your orders that you're going to run. You can find components, the DIDs, the equipment that's out there, what speed the circuits are, who they're with. A lot of information can be found in DAX. We use it internally all the time. Every time you talk to a PC or an implementation engineer, that is where they live. As a sales guy, though, I'm over here in the Quotes tab. I'm in QuoteSpring, and I'm pretty much there all day, every day, running your quotes for you and getting everything out the door so you can go close it. So QuoteSpring gives you every available option that you can need. All the speeds, all the different carriers, all the different types of circuits, whether it's fiber, broadband, T1s, a UVerse, a FiOS, all of that's available. It's going to do real-time quoting. So you're going to put in your address, you're going to put in your NP and XX, and you're going to select all the different options that you want. And real time, we are going to go through the APIs, or if we're working with some of our broadband providers, we have to use a flat file. But we'll be going through all of that live. It takes about 90 seconds, and all your quotes will be returned back to you, and you can start editing your proposals and make them unique to your individual opportunity. So this is kind of what it looks like. This is a little preview. I'm going to run in through a live demo and show you exactly how this works. But you can see we ran at our old corporate headquarters address, anywhere from a T1 all the way to a fast E20, and we included in some broadband. There was some DSL available there. But you can just check off exactly what you want. You can pick what type of handoff for voice you're going to be looking. Is it PBX? Is it going to be SIP trunking? Is it going to be a PRI? It's all there. This is just step one, and you just kind of move along and customize your quote as you go. Speaking of all those carriers, this is what we have. We have all these different carriers that we can provide you. Again, we're running a live API. You got 90 seconds. We're checking with every single one of these. So rather than going to each individual carrier and trying to get your quote for this opportunity that you're running, and if it's multiple locations, you're going to have to do this every single time. You can go with AirSpring, and we can provide you all of these different options, all with one quote. So with that, I'm going to get into a live demo. This is where you log in at agentstar.net. And like I was saying, here's the current webinar. You can sign up for your webinars here. Every month we have one on the second to last Thursday. You've got your promos. You click into it, and you can see all the terms and conditions that come along with it to help answer any questions you have on how much you're going to get paid. You can see right now we got a 200% spiff on toll-free usage. That's pretty unique in the industry. But some of the other things you can find in here, you can find your resources. You can get into marketing, collateral. You can pull all the data sheets. So if you want to know, what do we include with our SD-WAN, you can click in here, find the data sheet for that. You can send it off to your customer. Your escalation list. One of the unique things about AirSpring is we have a dedicated escalation list, and we have 7 different categories, and each category ends with the CEO and the CRO of the company. That's 2 of the 3 owners. So it's unique to AirSpring, and something that we always like to point out. I give this to every single one of my accounts that we close. I make sure you say, hey, maybe you want to post this in your phone closet. Maybe post it on the piece of equipment that we're sending you, so that if there is an issue, you know exactly who to call. Here's where you can find DAX. Again, that's for your order tracking. You can also check your commissions, and you can see, SIP availability. That's a nice tool. You don't need to know. You need to make sure that we're going to be able to port numbers. You can take care of it there. But most importantly, this is the quotes. This is what we're all here for today. If you've run past quotes, you can look them up here. You can go in and you can type your customer name, and you can move forward there. You can do it by quote ID. If you really just forgot all of it, you can even search by address. You can also go in, you can add locations to quotes if you wanted to duplicate the exact configuration at a second site. If you wanted to import multiple quotes, you do a big upload, you can do that as well. My advice for you is, maybe you do want to send those in to your channel manager, take care of it. It can get kind of messy. We're really good at doing this. We'll turn it around as fast as possible. But we've done a lot of these quotes, 400, 600 locations, and it takes some time to kind of comb through it and make sure that everything looks good. But I think the most important thing is going to be teaching you guys how to create a quote. So I've kind of already gone ahead. I don't think anybody wants to watch me type, but I filled it in for you. So I've already got the address. You'd probably pick a better name for the customer than QuoteSpring Webinar. But you type in the addresses. The NPNXX is very important. We have to have that. And then you just kind of build it as you want. So what I'm going to run is I'm going to run an SD-WAN. I'm going to do 20 megs. I'm going to add, and here it is, my quote request. Here's the first line. This is the first thing that I'm requesting. I'm also going to say, hey, I want to see 50 megs. I'm going to add that as well. Shows up. Now, I'm going to look for my secondary circuits. I'm going to look for a secondary broadband. You can go with all available, but that's going to pull a lot of the lower speeds that maybe you're not so interested in. 1.5 megs isn't going to be too useful for most people in most services, but 20 to 100, that's going to be pretty useful. And over 100, that's also going to be very useful. So now I've got all four of these options. I've got fiber in 20 and 50 megs, and then I've got broadband anywhere from 20 megs and up. After that, I'm just going to hit submit. You're going to get this address bound. We use USPS to validate the addresses. So let's just say, for instance, I messed up and I put Illinois, or I didn't change the state. It's going to come up red, and you're going to say, oh, well, something's wrong. Oh, that's Napa's actually in California. So let's just switch it up, and then you move forward. So you select the address. Now here's our APIs are currently working. Remember I said it takes about 90 seconds. Here's going to be your quote progress. It's going. While you're here, rather than just have dead space, we're actually using this to tell you any updates. So right here, the Polycom VVX311, now free of purchase on a 3-year term. Different updates that we're going to be providing you, they're all going to be found up here in the message center. So again, we're about 35 seconds through. It takes 90 seconds. It's really nice. I mean, you got to think about it. We have so many different carriers that we're running with, and you don't really have to do anything. You just kind of have to wait, let this process, and then you'll have everything you need at the next steps. All right, so looks like we're almost done. We're wrapping this up. Here we go. So now you'll see you've got all the different options here. And we've got a decent selection of broadband circuits, and we've got our fiber circuits. These little yellow markers, they're just saying that perhaps some of the APIs might have failed. In this case, we can take a look. We can see that it's a PAC Bell territory, so we know AT&T is going to be the LEC. It makes sense. They're going to be the least cost in this option, so we don't necessarily need to go to refresh. You could double-click here, and you can refresh this until it'll basically rerun all the APIs and allow you to correct them. But you can look in here, and you can see, maybe I don't want AT&T. Maybe I'm looking for diversity. So I'm going to go with an XO circuit and an AT&T circuit. You have to be careful, though, and especially if you're looking for diversity, you should probably reach out to your channel managers. Just because XO or CenturyLink are showing up, it doesn't mean that it's going to be XO or CenturyLink using their own fiber facilities. Oftentimes, they're going to be using AT&T as well because they are CLECs. So when you get into the diversity, I would really recommend that you reach out to your channel manager. The one surefire way that you're going to know that there's diversity is if a cable provider like Comcast were to show up under the FastE banner. So that's one thing, a tip from me to you. Just make sure you go forward and you double check when you have diversity. But let's just say I'm going to go with a hosted PBX. Up here at step 2, you can pick your handoffs, whether it's SIP trunking, It'll change everything up. It'll be PRI. You can do analog. But I'm going to show you how to do a hosted PBX with SD-WAN. So I'm going to go with this 20 meg circuit, and I'm going to choose this 250 by 25. This is going to be a Comcast coax broadband. And then you're going to come in here, and one of the nice things about AirSpring is our commission structure. So we have our different levels. 3 usually puts us at pretty competitive rates with everybody. And you know what? I'm going to include a port NRC. This is a SPIF pass-through. It goes directly to you guys. It's not going to show up on the broadband, but it will show up on our dedicated circuits. So this is how we're set up. We're going to be a level 3 with the port NRC included. And we're just going to hit next page. Okay, so it was just thinking a bit. Now we're going to select the SD-WAN portion because, again, this is SD-WAN with our Cloud Business Phone System, or PBX. So originally I had the 250 meg circuit and a 20 meg circuit. That's going to mean I have to jump up to the 400 meg throughput because in total I'm going to have 270 megs. That's too big for the 100 meg box. So I'm going to select it right here. And again, I'm going to move to next page. Now here's where I get to actually choose the in-tunnel bandwidth. This is unique to AirSpring. We don't make you license out the entire 400 megs of the box and overpay at $365. In this case, you have a 250 meg circuit and a 20 meg circuit. You could probably get away with doing 100 megs in-tunnel licensing at $165. So you're really saving $200 because we're not going to overcharge you. We're not going to make you pay for things you don't need. If this customer was extremely critical that they maintained, uptime, we could do with high availability, which would essentially double the equipment and add some extra switches that we would need to create the redundancy. But that's not necessary at this time. We're just going to go with the simple option. So now that the SD-WAN's selected and priced in, we've got our different add-ons that we can go into. If you needed an on-site tech, you needed somebody to go out and do the DMARC extension, AirSpring can do that for you. It'll be a one-time charge of $300, or you could configure it differently. You could do it. We can even add it into with amortized over 3 years, and it would just be $8 a month. But in this sense, one time is $300. It's also $300 for the site survey and also test and turn-ups. I mean, we can have somebody out there for any part of the actual turn-up process. Manage failover. This would be great. This is our LTE package using AT&T 4G LTE. On a 3-year, it's $42 a month. It's kind of like an insurance plan. When all of your other circuits fail, this one's configured to kick on so that you will always have some sort of service. Even though it's LTE, you'll still be functioning. It's not going to be as fast or as good as your primary circuits, but you'll definitely still be limping, which is important. So the next really important thing in here is AirSpring actually does manage firewall. So you can come in here and you can select whichever firewall you want. In this case, you're looking over here. You want to make sure you're looking at the DPI SSL. If you don't have deep packet inspection turned on, you basically don't have a firewall. So make sure you look at this column right here. This is the important one. In this case, we're going to have 270 megs, so we would select this option. Make sure we'll keep it on a 3-year term. And got to double check there. So $568, fully managed. Everything's maintained for you. If you need other things, DTO for the voice, maybe where's the failover going, you could add those options in. There's a lot of different things you can add on this page. We're just going to stick with the firewall at this time. Now we get into the actual seats and licensing for AirPBX. So we have 2 different seat classes. We have business seats and enterprise seats. A business seat is a full-featured seat. Every function that you're going to need in a phone system, you are going to find in the business seat. It's going to have the auto attendance. It's going to have call conferencing. It's going to have park, hold, transfer. Everything that your customer wants is already here. You can add them in whatever quantities you want. But let's just say maybe there's some executives and they want to have, or outside salespeople. You're going to want to give them maybe an enterprise seat. What the enterprise seat includes, everything that the business seat has, But you're also going to get a soft phone, which is your desktop application that's going to be multi-featured. It's going to have an internal chat. It's going to have a soft phone built in. It's going to have click to dial, which you can set up to work with your hard phone. It's going to have one-to-one video conferencing with other users within the company. It'll also do Outlook integration. So, like right now, I'm in a meeting. Within my system, it's going to say Chris Abbott's already in a meeting. He's got this appointment going on. Everybody in the office will already know that. So it's actually a really neat feature. It's something that we all use internally. We definitely dog food it here at AirSpring. We use our own products. It also comes with a smartphone application you can get on Android or iOS. All those same features are built into it. You can literally be taking your calls from your cell phone anywhere in the world, and people will be none the wiser. Included with those two software packages, you do get an inbound/outbound eFax. It's dedicated, so every enterprise seat gets their own DID, that's a fax number. And again, all of those faxes will go straight to their email. It's very convenient, and they can send straight from their browser or their Outlook client as well. We have the call center seats as well, so a lot of people may not know this, but you can get our PBX and still have like a mini call center built into it. It's going to have reporting. It's going to have a wall board, and you're going to actually managers will be able to have the ability to monitor calls that their agents are making, whisper to them any advice, how to maybe upsell or how to maybe solve that customer's problem, or they can even barge in and actually just take over the call and say, hey, I've been listening, they brought me on, and they can make their suggestions as well. So this is a very cool feature, and the nice thing about it is a lot of the time when you have the call centers, they can't make transfers to other people within the PBX. It's its own separate system. What's nice about this is they can actually transfer to maybe somebody else within another department who's not within the call center queue. So that's a nice thing. The reception portal seat, that's actually going to be a piece of software as well, so you can use it. The receptionist can actually look on her screen and maybe drag and drop phone calls. If she wanted to transfer them to somebody else within the company, she'll be able to see who's on the phone at any given point in time, who's available, who's in DND. All those different features are there. We can also add call recording to any single seat that they want. So maybe there's just one person who needs to have call recording because they do compliance and regulations. That person could have all of their calls recorded. It would be at an FTP site, and they can pull the calls that they need to save as necessary. In addition to, if you wanted to buy your own AirFax, this one would be outside of the enterprise seat, and this one could be associated with up to 5 email addresses at any point in time. So you could have it for maybe like accounts receivable. They could get one dedicated AirFax, and everybody within accounts receivable will actually get the faxes that come into that department. So let's just kind of do a mix and match. Let's just do it even. So you get 11 seats business, 11 seats enterprise, 22 seats total, and you price it all out. Go to the next page. At this point, maybe your customer still needs a traditional fax line, which a lot do, and it's very convenient because you just want to walk over to a machine, hit send, and send off a message without having to go through the whole process. This will allow us to add up to 8 lines for analog. Keep in mind these are not POTS lines. They really shouldn't be used for alarm or elevator. They're not going to have their own battery. They're definitely going to be power dependent on the equipment that we provide. So if there's no generator or there's no battery backup, you're not going to be able to have power or use these analog lines. This customer also needs a toll-free, so we're going to add a toll-free number in here as well. And you'll see that we're adding a piece of equipment right here so that we can convert off of an Adtran in this case into an analog line. So we're adding this $15 that we didn't necessarily need if we didn't have an analog line, but we do now. So when we get to page 7 of 10, you can actually look at your LD bundles. If your customer only has limited usage, maybe 1,500 minutes, you can give them a 2,000-minute package. It's $20. Or you can do 6,000-minute bundles. You can add as many as you want. So you could have 3 of these and 2 of these, and you can make your own packages based on however much usage they have. But when we're doing AirPBX, we typically like to go with the unlimited package. On a standard PRI or SIP trunking, it's $5 per trunk. All trunks have to subscribe. So if you had a full PRI, that could be $115 for unlimited. Maybe it prices you out of the market. But in this case, we have 22 seats and one analog line. So we have 23 seats, and multiply that by 2, you get 46. We give a discount on the unlimited when we do an AirPBX deployment. So for $46, that's pretty fair. And on that toll-free number we gave them, that also comes with 11,500 toll-free minutes. So this is a pretty good deal, and that tends to be how we go. So once that's all done, we get into the actual equipment. And you can see we have Polycom phones, we have the conference phones, all Polycom. We have Cisco phones, and we have, well, a Grandstream that we don't particularly use that much. But what's really nice is we give out free phones on a 3-year term. And since that's what we went with, we can actually get 22 Polycom VVX 401s, which is the color display 12-line phone. That's free. There's absolutely no charge. Everything stays at zero on the MRC. If we do need to go to a gigabit phone, if they have a gigabit network, we do charge for those phones. We're looking at changing the 311 as well, but for right now, we're just going to go with a 10 base T network, so we're going to get 22 free phones. So again, more hardware. In this case, I didn't select any power bricks for those Polycom phones. They don't come with one, but I didn't really want to. In this case, I wanted to provide them with a PoE switch. So in this, AirSpring will actually give a managed switch, and we will pre-program VLANs into the switch. And this is important because most customers, they only have one computer network. They don't have a dual LAN environment where they have Ethernet going to their phone and Ethernet going to their computers. So that requires them to daisy chain. A daisy chain would be, you're going to take the cable from the wall to the phone, from the phone to the computer. So that way you're getting your LAN connected to both devices, but that can kind of muddle the data going between. So we'll program VLANs so that the phone network, even though it's still on one, is on its own virtual LAN, and we can control the QoS down to the handset level. If we provide the switches, we can even troubleshoot down to that level, which really simplifies things for you and the customer. There's not going to be finger pointing. It's going to be that whole one back to pat type situation, and we're going to make your customers really happy with their decision to go that way. In this case, we only have 22 phones, so a 24-port PoE switch will be enough. There are options to rent, and that would be $31 a month, or we can purchase for $512. It's up to your customer. I mean, do they have money for a CapEx expenditure, or do they want to go OpEx? Mostly, we see people going with rentals. That's fine. We actually, it doesn't matter either way for us. We're still going to support the equipment that's out there. The one thing I will say is when you're in here, just make sure that you're careful. Make sure that you select the model that says PoE and not the model without it, because at this point, I didn't select any power bricks. You will have to buy them on your own, or we'll have to switch this out at the last minute. Usually our implementation engineers will catch that and ask if that was a correct decision made. But there is a price difference, and sometimes your customer is not going to be too happy when they go from thinking they got a $14 switch all the way up to a $31. So it's easier to just make the decision and do it right the first time. Okay. So this is going to be a later webinar training that we're going to do, but we just initiated Multi-Cloud Connect. We're going to skip this right now. We're going to definitely cover it. I believe it's next month. But here's the last step. You can finalize your proposal. Once you finalize your proposal, you can email it to yourself. You can also, with a semicolon, add it to anybody else you want. You can send this to multiple people. You can send this to yourself and to the customer, or you can just send it to yourself and then forward it along with more necessary information in the body of the email. That's typically what the channel managers do. We want to kind of inform you of what's going on in there. But you can also review and kind of change everything. Say you made a mistake, you can clone it, and you'll create an entirely new proposal. Everything will be pre-filled exactly as you created this one, and you can just make the changes that you need. But you can also just click View PDF, and you'll actually be able to see the proposal that you just created. So you'll see right here, the SD-WAN's at the top. We've got 100 megs of internal bandwidth, up and down combined, on a 400 meg throughput box. You'll see the 11 business seats, the 11 enterprise seats. You see the one analog line. Everything you need is there. Here's your wireless failover that we were talking about earlier. The firewall is right there as well for 568. Everything's subtotals. Everything in here comes down for a subtotal of 1254. Then you've got your two circuits that your SD-WAN is going to be combining. You'll see them right here, and you get a grand total. This location total includes the subtotal, this circuit, and this circuit for one big grand total. And everything's really nice and clean, easy to read, and you can kind of see all the details for all the different line items and features that are available and included. Let's see. If you wanted to add a location to this quote, you could either go back to create a new quote, copy your quote ID, update an existing quote with this checkbox. You would paste in your quote ID, look it up, and there you go. So you've got the same customer number or customer name that you included, and you could type in so you could do this. You could add in your whole new address, and then you could type in, let's just say you want a 10 meg and 20 meg, and you could hit submit, and it would create a brand new address on the same exact quote. The other way that you could do this is you could add location to quote. This would completely duplicate everything that you already ran. Again, you would paste in your quote ID number. So here's that Napa address I gave you. You could just type in, the address that you need, and it'll duplicate everything that you already ran, and show you exactly what you were doing. So I'm just going to hit submit just to show you. While that's running, because that can take a little while, we're going to come back here. Show you just real quick, just while we're waiting. This is DAX. You can go into your login. It's the same exact login that you had to get into QuoteSpring. And this is where you can kind of log in and check your account base. You can see, where your orders stand and where they need. I actually pulled up a test that we had run. You can kind of see while we're waiting. The connectivity types all here. You can see the address, what type of circuit it is. All the contact information is going to be available. Clearly, this is just nothing but a bunch of AirSpring people as a test. A dummy account. You'll be able to see what you sold everything at. This is where the milestones will show up. You'll be able to see what your FOC date is. You'll be able to see, has L&P been completed, all these different steps. Your components, you'll be able to see circuits, your DIDs, everything that's standing with this particular account, and any address or account that's related to it. So this quote is done, and you'll actually see I've got two addresses combined into one quote. So a lot of the times we see people that are running, agents that run quotes, and they'll come back and they'll have multiple quotes for different locations, part of the same opportunity. You can actually add multiple addresses into one quote, and you can kind of select them and move forward as you go. But I just kind of wanted to give you that. That's a little bit more of a pro tip. My suggestion is QuoteSpring is very complicated. There's a lot of things that you can do in here. You should still be utilizing your channel manager if you ever run into anything that stumps you. If you have a little bit more of a complex opportunity, you might want to give it to one of the channel managers first and let them kind of run with it. We can turn it around very fast. I mean, you work with various different companies and carriers, but we're inside of this product every single day. So every day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, we're in here. It's about 2,000 hours. And we know this product in and out, so we know exactly what we need to do to turn this around. So that's my suggestion. But you're a pro now. You should know what you're doing. But feel free, reach out to your channel managers. If you have any questions, we can definitely help you out. If you guys have any questions, just hit *6 to unmute yourself. You can ask any questions, and when you're done, *6 to mute yourself again.
Hey, this is Jim. Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, this is Jim from Tennessee, and question about the bulk load.
Yeah.
Is there a maximum number of sites that you can bulk load?
It's not that there's so much a maximum number of sites. Technically, you can overload the system. We've put safeguards in to protect against that. We've had that happen once, and we learned our lesson. A lot of the times, what it is so I can import multiple quotes is what you're going to be looking at. So this is the page. You're going to come here and you're going to download. And we want to open it. This is the sample import file. Now, when you're doing a bulk quote, you really do have to follow this legend right here exactly. So if you want, SD-WAN with voice, you have to use this SDW code. If you're looking for just a standard integrated circuit, we call that managed connectivity with QoS. You're going to have to use AMCI. But what you can do is you fill it in. So you can have your location name. You really do want to differentiate it, especially when you're talking about a bulk quote. I actually really like using just numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way down to however many it is, because that will help you kind of look back at it later. That's just a tip that I would give. But standard stuff. You format it, address, city, state, zip. Again, NPA, NXX. You got to keep them in separate columns. So when you submit a bulk quote to us, it really helps us out if you have those NPA and NXXs. I had to find 600 the other day, and it took me a couple days. It took a little while to figure that out. But then again, you come over here. So this would be a PDIA, would just be a DIA circuit. You can come in and you can just add them all in. Make sure your speeds, again, are exactly as it reads: a DS1, EOC3, F-E50. But as long as you follow those steps, you would come in and you would browse, find the file that you saved, import it, and everything will load up. Kind of simple stuff. Put in your customer name as needed, and then you would hit create quote. So it's not necessarily that we're going to limit the number of sites. I've done 600. I've done 700. That's kind of the upper threshold that I've personally done. I know there have been larger. But if you start adding a ton of different speed options, again, you're multiplying that by 2, by 3, by 4. It can get overwhelming. At a certain point, you would actually be given the notification it's too big to see within QuoteSpring. Please have somebody on the quotes team reach out to it. At that point, we'd have to submit a quote request, and we'd get that extracted for you because it's too big to show in the browser. It would
okay, so best practices it would be possibly to probably do, if you do bulk load, maybe to get quick returns with maybe one speed based on each load, possibly?
I would do, you can fit 2, 3, but yeah, don't start getting into 5 or 10. That would be extreme. But if you could even get like 2, 3, 4 in there, and you'd be fine.
Okay, but doing something that would be, I'm sure there's broadband, but if you're like all available, trying to find out if there's availability, period, because there are some hard spots. With broadband, you could still use all available and say a couple hundred sites or something like that, right?
Yeah, my suggestion with that, though, is I would avoid all available. It's right here at all BB. I would stick to, again, I've typically found that anybody wants somewhere from 20 to 100 or 100 and over. I would go with these two options instead, because if you go with all BB, that's where we started seeing everybody really crashing.
Okay, yeah, I apologize, miscommunicate. I meant, and I've got a client that's got a lot of sites that are in BFE, so trying to see if they just have coverage, period. So I would just pick a speed and just to see who would be able to provide the services, period, right?
That would be great.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right, cool. Yeah, that's good. Thanks.
No problem. Thanks for the question.
This tool's the best one I've ever used. I can tell you that. Been doing this a long time.
I've worked at other carriers as well, and I will agree with you. I've worked on a lot of different carriers' tools, and this one it's amazing. It's a breath of fresh air in the industry. So thank you.
Yeah. All right. The only thing I wish it could do is But without sending an order, I wish you could see if you'd have any construction costs or facility issues.
Yeah, a lot
But
of
then that's magic then.
we're working on it. We're working on that level of magic, but you're right. A lot of that comes down to the carrier and just they're getting overloaded with those requests themselves. Thanks for the question. Anybody else have questions? I know there was one more out there.
Hey, Chris, it's Jason with Casey. I just wanted to send you an email asking if you can get Matt and I access to the agentstar.net portal, that's all.
Absolutely, and that kind of brings up a good question. Anybody out there, any agents, if you want access to this, you probably already have it because you've got an agent ID. Just reach out to your channel manager. Oftentimes, it's the login first name. It's usually your name with a space in there, so Jason Clements. And I will get you your password, and if we don't know it, we can just change it for you. But
cool.
Everybody, if you need access to this tool, I recommend just shooting an email to your channel manager, and they will get you that access. That is a very poignant question. Thank you, Jason.
Thanks, Chris.
Hi there, I got a question.
Hey, how's it going?
Do you have any APIs for websites? We do a lot of lead gen online. I was just wondering if it's possible to just send stuff right from the web into this tool.
That would be something you would have to talk to the product team about. That's not something that I'm really aware of. That's more back end.
Okay.
It could be possible.
Hey, this is Daniel Lonstein. So I want to jump in for a moment and just answer that question. So we have a full set of APIs that basically will hit into the database. So depending what type of system you have, we do have a number of other partners, agents, websites who basically they have their own front end, and they use our APIs, and then we will basically do the investigation, hit all of our carriers via their APIs, and then return the results to you. So if you're able to build to our APIs, we have standard APIs that we can send over to you.
That'd be great. I'd love to take a look at it. Who do I email for that?
So I would just start with your channel manager, and then they'll get it over to the Quotes IT team, and they'll get you the documentation, and then we can work with you to go ahead and have you build to that. But we have a lot of that, so we get thousands of quotes a day via API from partners who have their own front end.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thanks, Daniel. Anybody else? Any other questions? Real quickly, we're going to kind of fire through this. We've also got an update coming to AirCare. AirCare is our 24/7 online portal for customers. You can access your services, your toll-free numbers, your data invoices. It's also our payment system, so you can do your online payments through AirCare. It'll also allow you to view and change the routing for your toll-free numbers, your DIDs, all in real time. One of the newer features we added this year was you can now even order your DIDs and toll-free numbers straight from AirCare. No longer reaching out to account management or even reaching out to MACD, that stands for Moves, Adds, Changes, Disconnections at airspring.com. You can actually do it straight from AirCare, which is really nice. Also, your CDRs are downloadable and exportable from here. But the nice new feature that we're going to be adding is we're going to be adding trouble ticket submissions from AirCare. And so the way it works is you're going to log in. This is what AirCare looks like. You're going to see balance for the invoices. But right here under support where it's highlighted, you will highlight that. You will get in and you'll be able to submit a repair ticket. When you get in, what's really nice when we would previously have people email in trouble tickets or when they call in, they don't know their customer number. And maybe the person calling in isn't the person that pays the bills where that number is available. If you submit it through AirCare, it will auto-populate with addresses, with your customer number. That's really important information for us and able to track down your issues. Pretty standard questions, has power been verified, yes or no? What indicator lights are going? If you can just answer the simple questions as best you can, leaving blank whatever you can't, or putting I don't know when available, you can go through and submit your ticket. This is what it will show like. You add in all of your information. Your hours that you can be reached and where you can be reached. You fill it all in. After everything is sent and confirmed, you'll get an email back from AirCare saying that the ticket has been created. It will tell you what the ticket is, so it can be tracked. If you need to be calling in again to give more information, you can always reference your number. But this is going to be very convenient, and it's a real step in the right direction and showing more growth in that portal that we have, and we're really proud of it and happy with it. So going forward, we got some company news. we're really excited. We just hired Josh Reddick in our Northeast region. He's going to be a channel director out there. Josh, are you on the call? If you are, start
I'm
saying.
here, Chris. Thank you.
Josh?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Great job as always.
So we're happy to have
Yeah.
you, Josh. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've spent about 20 years in the industry. A lot of that time was with XO Communications as general manager for the direct and indirect teams. Worked at Telesphere, which became Vonage, and then Broadview, which became a larger network provider through mergers and acquisitions. Breath of fresh air. I spent a week out there in the headquarters. Spent a lot of time with you, Chris, and doing the quote training. Been spending more and more time in there in my first 2 weeks, and it's very simplistic, and it performs dramatically quickly, opposed to putting it into a quote desk where we have to go get those quotes from all the different carriers. With our NNIs with over 31 carriers and the APIs we have, it's, as you saw, it was 90 seconds. So it's a valuable tool for our partners, and the ones that I've spoken with that use it rant and rave. So happy to be a part of the team, happy to have you as one of my peers, and look forward to growing AirSpring here in the Northeast. Thank you guys all for joining, and thanks for your time. I know everyone's busy. But, Chris, great job as always.
Thanks, Josh. Happy to have you.
Thank you.
So while we're here, AirSpring, we are really proud of our spiffs and our commissions. Just kind of want to go over that with you guys right now. On that SD-WAN service that I just kind of ran through with you, you get a one-time MRC, so you get 100% spiff on that. A voice is still at 6 times MRC. That's a very nice deal. I mean, you guys can make a ton of money just based on selling the voice services. We're happy to have your data services, but what we really want is we want to add different layers and applications to it. Voice is what we're known for and what we're the best at. So please quote us out for your Air PBX and also your SIP and PRI opportunities. Analog too, we'll take that as well. You get a 6 times spiff on that. On the port services for connectivity, we're going to give a 1.5 times MRC. Toll-free services right now, you're getting a $1,600 cash bonus. I mean, that's killer. So if you guys have any toll-free dialer customers, definitely give us a shot. As well as that, we're also giving an $800 cash bonus on LD services. And you know, if you have any residual or stuff like that, we're giving an 5% extra bonus residual. So I mean, LD is what we built our company on, guys. If you have any LD customers, definitely give us a shot. We can come out there. Our pricing will probably blow everybody else away. We're going to be doing a ton of events with Polaris, Microcorp, and TBI. Meet us at any of the following in September. If you're planning on going to any of these events, reach out to your channel manager or send an email to sales@airspring.com. Set up a meeting with us. We'd love to spend some time with you on site. We're going to be in Salt Lake City in September 11th, Chicago in September 30th, Microcorp September 12th through the 14th in Atlanta, and TBI we're going to be doing Philadelphia September 13th and the Cloud Commission in Seattle on September 20th. Hopefully we can see some of you guys out there, set up some appointments. Looking forward to that. And are any of you going to the Channel Partners Evolution in Philly? If you are, take advantage of the AirSpring discount code when you register. You'll get a free Expo Hall Pass or a big discount off the price of your full conference registration. Make sure you use the code AirSpring when you register. Hopefully we can see you there as well. That's going to be October 10th through the 12th in Philadelphia. Also, don't forget, at the end of all of this, you need to fill out a survey for a chance to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Congratulations goes out to our July winner, Bridget Schneider from Green Razor. So very happy to have you, Bridget, and congratulations. All of that, thank you. We appreciate all of you for joining and your partnerships with us. Feel free to reach out to any of your channel managers. If you want to get maybe a bulk training, a private training, you know, I'm sure we could all of us would be happy to do that for you, set something up, kind of go into a little bit more detail when we have you in a more private space. But everybody, thank you for joining, and happy sales.